Fearing death, WikiLeaks Julian Assange releases password to large cache of Hillary files. You can bet after the news of the Russian Clinton-Obama collusion broke on Tuesday about all the extortion, bribery and money laundering, that WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange is feeling a little bit edgy. After all, Assange has been telling Americans for years Hillary Clinton was corrupt and evil, and colluded with the Russians. Too bad not many Americans listened. Now more truth is coming out and WikiLeaks Assange was right all along. It's suspected that Hillary Clinton could be on the verge of being totally exposed by the release of more compromising and revealing files held by WikiLeaks, based upon the recent posting of a rather cryptic set of letters and numbers on Twitter by founder Julian Assange. Wouldn't that be awesome? Clinton was recently in Australia to promote her book What Happened? About the 2016 election, and reiterated her belief that WikiLeaks and Assange, who she termed a nihilistic opportunist who does the bidding of a dictator, according to the International Business Times, were in league with Russia and partially to blame for her electoral loss. Assange replied via Twitter, "WikiLeaks has a pristine record for accuracy. HRC is not a credible person. The primary cause of her downfall was her own Machiavellian scheme to elevate Mr. Trump, Pied Piper." The tweet contained a link to Clinton's interview as well as a link to latest WikiLeaks dump exposing Russian interests. Less than 20 minutes later, Assange then tweeted what many believe is an encryption code or dead man's switch that would ensure the release of certain files by third parties, or even automatically by a computer program, in the event of his being detained or killed prior to his own determination of when to release such files. About an hour and a half later, Assange posted one more tweet regarding Clinton that some suspect hinted at what the prior encryption code could be the key to unlock. There's something wrong with Hillary Clinton. It is not just her constant lying. It is not just that she throws off menacing glares and seethes thwarted entitlement. Watch closely. Something much darker rides along with it. A cold creepiness rarely seen, Assange tweeted. Of course, the posting of an encryption code that could possibly unlock secret files revealing damning information about Hillary Clinton has fueled conspiracies, but the Times noted that Assange has posted such encryption codes several times in the past as a sort of insurance safeguard prior to a massive document dump. Interestingly, a site known as The Duran documented a series of tweets from Fox News host Sean Hannity in reference to Assange, most notably one a week prior to Assange's cryptic tweet that read, T-7 and counting. Tick-tock, quite possibly a knowing reference to an upcoming document dump. Of course, we all know who Hillary Clinton hates the most next to Donald Trump, and that's WikiLeaks. After all, it was WikiLeaks that exposed most of her corruption to the public. Even though, if you asked Hillary Clinton, she would insist that WikiLeaks is nothing more than propaganda backed by the Russians to make her look bad. Hillary Clinton is such a pathetic liar. Hillary and the Democrats used this whole Russian propaganda and all the fake news of the Russia-Trump collusion to deflect away from the real truth about the real Russia-Obama-Clinton-Mueller, and several others, collusion. Pretty sad that all of these Democrats would put money over America's own national security. That's the real and sick truth. There is so just much disgusting swamp to drain in Washington, D.C. President Trump can't do it alone. The sad part is this swamp isn't just filled with Democrats. Republicans are just as guilty. Speaking of guilty. When are the real criminals going to pay the price? From Hillary Clinton and her pay-to-play scandals to the Uranium One deal, someone needs to pay the price, other than the American taxpayers. How does Hillary Clinton continue to be involved in these enormous crimes and nothing happens? It's one filthy deal after another. My gut tells me that until Trump can clean out the Obama leftovers, there will continue to be members of the swamp in his own administration. The drain is backed up and clogged with Democrats. It's time to drain the swamp. In the meantime, I would look for another WikiLeaks dump by Julian Assange to come very soon with more revealing Clinton documents. There are still thousands of deleted emails from Clinton's private server that she refused to turn over to investigators that Assange could choose from. Let's hope he lets it all out. You can bet that Hillary Clinton isn't going to like it at all. Knowing her, she is thinking of ways to stop more of the truth coming out from WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. Let's hope Assange can stay safe. Lord knows Hillary Clinton has a long enough trail of bodies just in the past year. From Sean Lucas, to Seth Rich, Bernie Wisnant, Molly McCauley and others. We also know she already threatened to take Julian Assange out with a drone. It's time to put a stop to the Clinton corruption, don't you think? Maybe this was the calm before the storm that Trump was referring to. We'll all know soon enough. Tighten your belt, folks. Things are about to get interesting real soon. Just in time for Halloween. Obama's vacays just came to screeching halt after Trump just surprised him with worst news of his life. Hurry up. Someone call former President Obama and tell him the news. He might want to put a hold on that next taxpayer-funded vacation until he reads what's about to happen. His pretty presidential stipend is about to get slashed. There was a Senate committee who approved a bill to reduce the amount that a former president can earn. If by earn, they mean, do whatever they want and get paid on the taxpayer dime, then by all means, earn it is. Former presidents receive a lifetime salary of around $200,000. It's whatever the current cabinet is earning. It's like the former president still has a job, but they're just out living their life, not giving a hoot what anyone does. Or maybe they campaign for someone in their party, but if Obama were to campaign, there'd be no one to campaign for since President Trump would defeat them all anyway. The update that could be pending is an update to the Former President's Act. It would reduce both the amount that a former POTUS receives and also reduces the amount that taxpayers shell out to the previous leaders. According to Kern, each former president receives the same salary as a current member of the presidential cabinet. For 2013, the amount was $199,700 per year. This number does not take into account the extras the former leader is entitled to, including a $96,000 stipend for office staff payroll and free postage for life. Senator Joni Ernst is concerned with America having $20 trillion in debt. They also want taxpayers to no longer be responsible for paying for the salary of a former president. They justified this by suggesting that former presidents earn tons of money on book deals, speeches, and other former president type of business opportunities. Our national debt now exceeds $20 trillion. This bipartisan effort is another important step toward reining in Washington's out-of-control spending, Iowa Republican Senator Joni Ernst, sponsor of the Senate legislation, said in a statement. It is ridiculous to continue asking taxpayers to help foot the bill for former presidents' perks at a time when they already rake in millions of dollars from book deals, speaking engagements, and more. The Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs unanimously approved the language of the bill, and it awaits a vote by the full Senate chamber. The House is set to consider a companion bill, proposed by Georgia Republican Representative Jody Hice. Former presidents receive a salary set at the highest level of federal pay that cabinet-level officials make during their service, currently about $207,000 annually. Ernst's proposal would cap stipends at $200,000 per year, adjusted each year for cost of living increases. In the grand scheme of things, we're talking pennies on the dollar. If all they want is a $7,000 decrease, then that's not really going to be noticeable to the taxpayers or the president. That's about as effective as banning guns. If Obama, or any former president, suffers on a $7,000 loss, then what is that really? One fancy trip less than usual? This part is not a huge loss to someone who has a bank account with a six-figure checking account. If they wanted to make a huge dent in the spending, they would drop $50,000 off that number right away. $150,000 to do nothing isn't a bad salary. Here's where it does get interesting. The money made by former presidents doing random odd jobs will affect their annuity. Every dollar over $400,000 would reduce the annuity they have. Will this push people to work harder, or cut their jobs off at $400,000? Time will tell. Would someone who earns that much money notice a difference? Another provision of the bill would push former presidents who find an additional stream of income slowly off the taxpayers' support. For every dollar a former president makes above $400,000 from speaking engagements or other post-presidential work, the annuity would be reduced by $1 in the Senate proposal. Obama made around $400,000 in one speech to a Wall Street private equity firm earlier this year, according to Bloomberg Businessweek. That makes sense. $400,000 in a year is wonderful money. That comes out to $7,692.30 per week, $1,098 per day, if you're wondering. I already know what I'd spend that on for the first few days. I'd be sitting at the all-you-can-eat buffet waiting for them to drag me out by the back of my stretched-out pants. While Obama and some other former presidents might lose a few bucks if this literally goes through, at least the taxpayers can save cash. It won't amount to much for us, but anything helps these days. Just keep in mind, if Trump passes this, then he'll be affected by after his term. It would be wise for Trump to keep the salary of former presidents as it is, but he will likely get pressured into signing off on it. The true moral of the story is this: we should all run for president in hopes that we get elected, work for 8 years, then retired and collect the former president's salary, which should really just be called welfare for old presidents. We got him. Trump admin arrests most evil man alive. The latest arrest by the Trump Justice Department reveals the dangers of sanctuary cities. U.S. law enforcement officials have arrested Juan Rafael El Cubano Arredondo Oviedo, an enforcer for the brutal Los Zetas Mexican cartel in Chicago, Illinois. Juan Rafael was extradited to Mexico, where he has been charged with 28 counts of kidnapping. Juan Rafael was wanted for his role in a series of massacres between 2011 and 2013 that resulted in the deaths of over 300 people, the Daily Wire reports. Arredondo Oviedo escaped Mexican police and was found hiding out in Chicago, which is officially recognized as a sanctuary city. Federal police arrested Juan Rafael at an immigration court in Chicago. U.S. authorities transferred Arredondo Oviedo to the Mexican city of Nuevo Laredo, just north of the border. He is being held in a state prison where he awaits trial. The Mexican government is still asking the American government to locate, capture, and extradite Bertha Rosario Cheo Tellez and Ricardo L. Richard Diaz Miranda, who are also facing kidnapping charges for their role in the Coahuila massacre. According to Mexican authorities, Arredondo Oviedo was one of a series of foot soldiers that participated in the Coahuila massacre. Between 2011 and 2013, the Los Zetas cartel had almost complete control over the Coahuila state government. The gang used their control to exact revenge on gang members accused of betraying the criminal organization. Arredondo Oviedo, along with other enforcers, was charged with rounding up anyone connected to supposed traitors Villanueva and Garza Gaetan. All family members, friends, relatives, and even innocent civilians who happened to share a last name, were rounded up and tortured in a variety of inhumane ways. After torturing and executing their victims, Los Zetas would transfer the bodies to local cartel ranches or state prisons for disposal. The bodies brought to the ranches were incinerated in brick ovens, while the bodies brought to the state prisons were submerged in barrels of oil and set ablaze. The ashes were dumped into a nearby creek that feeds into the Rio Grande, leaving their victims' families without answers. Los Zetas was founded in 1999 by a group of 34 former Mexican special forces. The soldiers acted as enforcers for local cartels until they opted to create their own criminal syndicate. Los Zetas are not as powerful as their rivals, the leading Sinaloa Mexican cartel founded by Joaquin El Chapo Guzman. However, the United States government says the Los Zetas are unmatched in their brutality. According to United States government reports, Los Zetas is the most technologically advanced, sophisticated, and dangerous cartel operating in Mexico. They use their sophistication to exert control over local governments. Other members of the Los Zetas cartel being held in American prisons are known for their extreme brutality. One Los Zetas leader is serving 7 consecutive life sentences in a Texas prison after he chopped up a living 6-year-old girl in front of her family to send a message. Another leader, now deceased, was known for eating the flesh of his victims. The arrest and extradition of Arredondo Oviedo is a significant step in making America a safer place to live. It is also evidence that President Trump and his administration are serious about being a law and order administration. Alert: top Trump enemy arrested. A key to President Donald Trump's immigration agenda is the idea that by securing America's border with Mexico, D.C. can cut down on the amount of crime associated with the Mexican cartels. Fortunately, one recent arrest may help the U.S. to combat the scourge of narco-terrorism. Damaso Lopez Serrano, who is known by the nickname Mini Lick, was arrested at California's Calexico West port of entry. This 29-year-old is the highest-ranking member of the Sinaloa drug cartel to ever surrender to American officials, according to the U.S. Department of Justice. Lopez Serrano was wanted by U.S. officials after he was arraigned in a San Diego court on August 19, 2016, on charges of importation, distribution, and conspiracy involving controlled substances. Mini Lick is the godson of infamous Sinaloa drug czar Joaquin El Chapo Guzman. According to some reports, Lopez Serrano gave himself to American authorities because of an ongoing power struggle within the Sinaloa cartel. Although investigators have yet to disclose the amount of drugs that Lopez Serrano and his associates are accused of smuggling into the country, there is evidence that Mini Lick and his organization are responsible for laundering millions of dollars and distributing even more narcotics within the United States. The arrest of Lopez Serrano also means that U.S. officials currently have in their custody the right-hand man of El Chapo and one of the narco bosses who helped Guzman escape prison in 2001. This is a huge victory for the Trump administration, which has placed a premium on breaking up the power of the Mexican cartels in the United States. The Sinaloa cartel is the largest drug cartel in the world. The group currently controls the fertile soil of the Sierra Madre Mountains, where the cartel pays Mexican farmers to grow marijuana, cocaine, and other illicit drugs. The Sinaloa gang also controls the very violent Mexican cities of Tijuana and Ciudad Juarez, both of which border the United States. It is believed that the Sinaloa cartel is responsible for as many as 100,000 murders since 2007. When the Mexican drug war officially began in 2006, Sinaloa's control of the Mexican drug trade was threatened by a new gang made up of former Special Forces soldiers known as Los Zetas. This three-way war, pitting Sinaloa against Los Zetas and both against the Mexican government, has contributed to unprecedented bloodletting. Just this May alone, more than 2,000 homicides were recorded, thus making it one of the deadliest epochs in Mexican history. Almost 5 years ago, crime and security experts asserted that Sinaloa had essentially won their war against Los Zetas. Although the latter gang still controls some territory in Mexico, and is the cartel that employs MS-13, Sinaloa's money and firepower have proven to be too much for the upstarts in Los Zetas. This has not led to a slowdown in crime, however. In February, a close associate of El Chapo reportedly tried to assassinate him. Other regional commanders of the Sinaloa cartel have also been targeted. This means that the cartel is currently in the middle of a civil war that is helping to increase Mexico's homicide rate. With Lopez Serrano off the street, hopefully, Mexico and America can work closely together in order to stem the blood red tide that is impacting both nations.